Thank you, class of 2024, for inviting me to speak. I only wish, as you can see, that I could be there live with you on the 13th instead of my rehab center. All of you, I think literally all of you, probably know I have difficulty in, I often run off on tangents. So I want to talk on this glorious day about three areas that might be of importance to you. And they certainly are to me, that's why I'm doing it. But one is my view of education. Second is philosophy of life, how you live life. Okay? And love, which I don't know much about, but I have to admit this is more of a pep talk I'm giving you right now that I give to myself. So it's not like something I've already experienced and know. These are things that I wish for. All the current issues that we talk about today, individualism, identity, social justice, natural rights, ideal political systems, are ideas that have developed over time. No matter what subjects you happen to study, there is a desire within everyone to search for truth, justice, beauty. This and other things. This is a search that you will carry on for life. And this search applies to all subjects. You don't just have to be an engineer to study the beauty of the language of mathematics. You don't have to be a physicist or astronomer to understand the beauty of the universe. So right now, I know there is a debate in the education world about what's relevant education and classical education. And I don't understand why there should be one. Yes, you do need to know about yourself, your background, where you came from, and actually to feel good about yourself. That's an important part of life and for you to go through. But I think also for relevant education, you need to have a classical education. I'll try to explain what that is. Here's a quote from somebody you may have heard of, W.E.B. Du Bois. And he made this quote right at the height of segregation. And here he's talking about how he benefited from reading the classics. I sit with Shakespeare, and he winces not. Across the color line, I move arm in arm with Balzac and Dumas. So I guess he liked French authors. Where smiling men and welcoming women glide in gilded halls. From out of the caves of evening, that swing between the strong-limbed earth and the tracery of stars, I summon Aristotle and Aurelius, and what soul I will, and they come all graciously, with no scorn nor condescension. So wed with truth, I dwell above the veil. Is this the life you grudge us, O knightly America? These classical traditions must not be discarded. This is men writing at the height of segregation. These philosophers and thinkers deal about the nature of reality and being, about the self, about knowledge, and about the meaning of our experiences. Their thoughts are for all of us. All right, here, let me give you another example. And this one, my students who had me in 10th grade are familiar with it. On Martin Luther King, we read Letter from Birmingham Jail. Well, you're not going to understand a lot of things he's saying. You don't understand who some of the people are that he mentions. First, do you know he's named after a guy named Martin Luther? Now, if I was here live, I'd do a pause and ask all of you to say something. On page 1, he refers to the Apostle Paul. Do you know who he is? Have you heard of him? Page 2, Socrates. Remember him? Why would he mention Socrates? Remember freedom of conscience? He's willing to die for his beliefs. And then on unjust laws. Remember, Martin Luther King is sitting in jail. He's been thrown in jail. And he is opposing segregation there in Birmingham. And he said, this is an unjust law. Well, the notion of an unjust law goes back to two saints, St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas. And he refers to them on page 3. And those of you who come from further back tradition, the Jewish tradition, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those guys, that always sticks in my mind, that story, because they were thrown in the oven by the crazy king Nebuchadnezzar. And and he's put in the oven, but God saved him from the fires of the oven. So I bring that up as a classic piece of classic work that I think you all have heard of, where he references people from the classical tradition. And it certainly helps that you know who they are. Why would he be influenced by that? Anyway, moving on. My main message to you is to develop your own view of life and build your character. Beware of indoctrination. You need to arrive at your own conclusions and beliefs. Don't follow Pied Pipers. Don't just accept what people tell you. In fact, when there's something that concerns you, you're interested in, do the work, as they say today. Really study your culture, language, the history of different places. Gain an understanding of the wide sweep of history that relates both to your own experience and that is completely outside the realm of your experience. Sometimes say, nothing can be worse than this. How do you know? What have you seen? What do you know? Follow your belief. If you give up on seeking truth, then you end up serving some ideologue, gangster posing as a saint, or dictator. You're not being too dramatic here. And eventually you will lose your life and soul. Follow your own way. Don't just follow others. Okay, now, and this comes, and I think anybody who had me as a teacher knows that I had this background to some extent that influenced my teaching, and you always should be aware of when even your professors, what bias they might have. I think it's natural. Okay. Be careful with people that feel that they have all the answers to life. This has certainly been the major lesson that I got from my family experiences in Stalin's Soviet Union. And it probably is the driving force behind my becoming a teacher. It is important to remember that some of the most well-intentioned, idealistic people can get drawn into this. First, we don't live for happiness. Evil is a basic reality. And this is not a religious push here, but I think it's a relevant point. As Jesus said to his disciples, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." One can't live just for money, power, and even pleasure. We can't live to be happy. Sacrifice and suffering create who we are. Think of your parents who sacrificed for you. Suffering is how you build your character. There's a lot of talk about safe places. The young men who died at D-Day did not have that privilege. Neither do women and children who live in a daily war zone, or a neurodiverse person who was constantly judged by the people around them. Okay? For me, the ideal answer was offered by Zorba the Greek. This is a book that's made into a movie and a Broadway play. It's very popular as a kid. There's two people. There's the main character, Zorba, who's a good fun guy. He can do anything. And a anglicized Brit who's gone to England and now is sort of fascinated by the instincts that Zorba has, but he's very, very cautious about things. And he says, Basil, and I'll do my Greek for you, I don't want any trouble. He wants us to say, you seek safety. I don't want any trouble. Zorba says, life is trouble, only death is not. To be alive is to undo your belt and look for trouble. Now, by the way, just for the record, I'm completely in favor of schools that make sure students are safe from physical attack, bullying, verbal assaults, threats, and social media. So I just want to make that clear. But we can't assume we're always going to be in a place of safety. And then as far as enjoyment goes, yes, you can enjoy yourself. You can't live for that. I can't wait to get out of here and go swimming again. Be out in the nice weather, for example. Let me give you a less dramatic example than Zorba's. You were involved in a very intense debate. You were in the minority and some of your friends disagree with you. Speak your truth. Don't be afraid that you will lose your friends. If your friends reject you, they aren't your friends. Dostoevsky saw the modern age as hastening in the unlimited satisfaction of desires. There is the promise of this, but it doesn't lead to happiness again. It leads to an obsession about how one constantly is absorbed by how one feels and looks. It leads to resentment, envy, and even hatred. So what do we have left? Love. Class of 2024, I was struck by your comments at our last meeting for worship. The theme of love for each other was constant. Love is unconditional and it's not based on what you get out of it. It's not an investment. This quote I've heard many times, but it is relevant. We often hear this in weddings. It's from Paul. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And here's one from Joseph Conrad. He wrote most of the adventure novel. A little quote that really hit me, and it's this: "Woe to the man whose heart is not learned, while young, to love, to hope, to put his trust in life." And I wish that for you. And whatever misfortunes you face, I wish you all to be brave, build your character, be positive, and be animated by the spirit of love. Finally, I'm so sorry I'm not here with you. It means a lot that you asked me. And all the best to you. And we'll see you in the future.